Good morning, everyone. Very big welcome on this lovely sunny morning. And with us, we have Greg, and Greg's going to tell us what's going on in our mind. Thanks, Greg. Oh, you've got your mic.
Thanks, Sally. So how's everyone going with all this lockdown stuff? You're wandering around your lounge room wondering what to do. So today we're just going to talk about what's going on in our heads. But I must admit I'm finding it a bit weird here because normally I'm standing here talking to a group of people but I'm not. I'm looking at a camera. And really there's only two men and a dog in the room here, so it's kind of a bit weird. Excuse me, sir. Would you mind taking out the dog? Yep, thank you. Cheers. So what's going on in my mind? Well, really it's what's going on in our minds. And I suppose the way the world is at the moment, everyone's a bit disturbed about the virus that's going on, and it has a physical impact on quite a few people around the world, a few million. But there's something going on within our heads which is causing a much greater impact. And this is an impact that's impacting on the whole world. And so what we're going to do this session is actually talk about what's going on in here and what the remedy is, because there is actually a ready-made remedy already available. So in our daily lives, we wander around doing actions, talking, and we think, yeah, that's fine. There's stuff going on in our heads, but it's not really that important because it's actually my actions that are judged. So it's okay. I can think what I think, but it doesn't really matter. But the reality is that what we think about creates how we behave. And so it's really important to look at what's going on inside our heads. So it's our understanding, and I can use a scientific equation about what I think is going on. So first of all, we have a thought. And that thought creates a feeling. So you've probably had the experience where you've had these thoughts all day, and at the end of the day, you've either felt really great or feel really down. And it's because what we've been thinking about affects how we feel, which actually then affects our attitude. Our attitude affects how we see things. So if we've got a really loving attitude to life, we're going to have a rosy vision of what's going on around us, which affects the atmosphere we create around ourselves, or our vibration. And I guess you've had the experience where you've gone into a place and you've immediately felt an atmosphere of which has been really nice or really quite depressing, and that's because of our thoughts affect how we feel, which affects our attitude, which affects how we see things, which affects the atmosphere we create, but that then affects how we speak. And that affects our actions. We're judged by our actions and how we speak. But our actions are directly related to how we think. So it's really important that we really look at how we're thinking. And for example, it's not just how we think, it's what we're thinking about. So for example, we need to go to the shops. I need to buy some bread, milk and sugar. Get my wallet, I go down to the shops, buy the bread, milk and sugar. I come back, and then I think, I should have got the soap as well. So it's not just that our thoughts create how we act, but we actually need to look at the accuracy of our thoughts as well. So that's what we're going to be doing in this session. And our thoughts come from our mind. So I've been lucky enough to extract a human mind out of a human being. This is what a human mind looks like. And this is what a human mind sounds like. Do you recognise that sound? To really understand, I think we need to look inside this human mind. So the question is, are you brave enough? Are you sure? Oh dear. Okay, so there's 4 sorts of thoughts going on in here. So we need to look at each one of them to really understand what's going on. And the first, this really large, hard, heavy, nasty one. This is a sort of thought that makes you feel bad. And so you can tell whether if you're having this thought, it is making you feel bad, which means that it's a negative thought. So a negative thought is one that's critical, that is looking at the worst side of any situation. And often the person that we are most critical of is ourselves, because we will go into a situation, people will then, maybe they're not so nice to us, and we will see ourselves as the problem. And in fact, it's actually society is teaching us that all the problems that are existing in the world are because we're the problem. So we've actually got to look really carefully about the truth of criticism. And I'll give you an example. There are certain things that actually make us being critical. And I'll give you an example of one where, say, for instance, you've just bought a brand new car and you thought, oh, this is fantastic, I feel great. Let's call the friends up and we'll have a picnic together tomorrow out in the park. It's going to be a sunny day. Let's have a lovely picnic. So ring all the friends, everyone's happy to go. We wake up the next morning, I go outside and the car's got a big scratch on it. I see that scratch and I start thinking, this has wrecked my day. Brand new car, it's got a scratch, I've got my friends coming, I just feel rotten, this is going to wreck my day. Why do they do that? And we go into this thought process of negative stuff. The friends have come, we still go on the picnic, but because I'm still thinking about this negativity of the scratch, it affects how I feel, affects how the people see me because I'm looking down, so it destroys the picnic. Another example is, for instance, where my partner has said to me, look, we're going to have pizza tonight. I know you've got a big day today, so you go to work. When you come back, I'll have this lovely pizza made for you. So all day you're at work and you're it's been a tough day. But in the back of your mind, pizza, and you love pizza. So we go home and the partner says, sorry, the pizza place burnt down. There's no pizza tonight. I had to get a takeaway pasta. I'm sorry. And you're mortified because all day long you've been looking forward for this pizza and you got pasta instead. So it makes you feel bad. That's what a negative thought is. And another example is, and I've got a penchant for lamingtons, and it's your birthday, your partner's made a plate full of lamingtons, your friends have come over, and you go to pick up a lamington and they've all gone. The lamingtons were so good, all your friends have eaten your lamingtons. So sad. And it makes you feel bad. this is what negativity is. It actually makes you feel bad. And the other added danger with negativity is that it makes you lose your spiritual power, which means that you're less able to control how you think and how you feel. So if I lose my spiritual power through negativity, that means anytime a situation comes up, I'm going to be more negative. So it's actually a downward spiral, this negative stuff. So what other thoughts do we have? This is the other one. This one's just as hard, a lot smaller, but it happens more often. And this is what we call a wasteful thought. It's a sort of thought where you know where you've had a situation and you go over and over that situation afterwards, over and over, reliving it, constantly reliving it, and it wears you down. And at the end of the day, you feel rotten because you keep going over this negative situation and then you drag it over and over again, trying to find a solution. And generally, the solution is available within seconds, but we drag it out with this wasteful thoughts of trying to justify how we behaved and why the other person was wrong. So wasteful thoughts are really damaging because they happen so frequently. The other sort of wasteful thought is worrying what's going to happen about the future. I don't know what's going to happen about the future. I can do the best I can at the present time, but what's going to happen in the future I can't change now. I just have to do what I can. And so by having this constantly reliving issues or constantly thinking about what's going to happen in the future, what am I not doing? I'm not actually living now. So I'm not actually enjoying now. So both this negative and wasteful stuff is actually taking you away from the experience of really enjoying the present time. They're extremely damaging, negative and wasteful thoughts. So what other thoughts are in here? This one, very light, very uplifting. This sort of thought, it actually makes you feel good. Have you ever had the experience where through the day it's just been great? You've felt great the whole day. All the things you've thought about have been really uplifting, and at the end of the day, you've just felt, what a great day it's been. This is a positive thought. Very light. The thing with positive thoughts is they're actually adding power to the self. And so I'm not losing energy, I'm actually gaining energy. And the advantage of that is that anytime situations come up, I'm then able to handle those situations better. So if I'm constantly negative and wasteful, I'm reducing my spiritual power, I'm less able to handle the situations as they arise. The more positive I am, the more able I am to handle it. Stay in my state of peace and not be upset by situations. So the fourth thought, I can't actually see it in here because we don't have it that often actually. It's a necessary thought. And the necessary thought is one where it's raining today, for instance. I need to take an umbrella to work. That's a necessary thought. But often because we're trapped in this cycle of negativity and waste, we start to see what's wrong with not having the umbrella. Oh, I've left it with someone. Oh, I left it at work yesterday. What am I going to do? I'm going to get soaking wet. I'll get a taxi, but I've got to run to the taxi to get it. Oh, dear. We very rarely have necessary thoughts, and if we do, they often run into waste and negativity. So what's the significance of this? I did a Google search, and what it said was that we have something like 50,000 negative or wasteful thoughts a day. Now, someone said to me, that's absolute rubbish. I live in the city, I have 200,000 negative thoughts a day, thoughts a day. I also did a search and it said, asked how many negative thoughts we have. The average amount of negative thoughts a person has in a day is 80% of its thoughts, which equates to 40,000 negative and wasteful thoughts a day. There are 7.5 billion people on the planet. If you exclude all the children, because most of them are just generally happy, and exclude the really old people because they don't care anymore, let's say that's 5 billion people times 40,000 is 200,000 billion negative and wasteful thoughts on the planet every day. This is the real illness that's affecting the whole planet. This is why the world is the way it is. We've really seriously got to look at how we manage this, because there's actually a ready-made vaccine for this. So what do? We actually have to look very carefully at our thoughts through the day. And each time we see ourselves having a negative thought, we've got to change it. The car was scratched. My friends have come over for the picnic. Instead of seeing the scratch, it's a lovely day. Let's have the lovely picnic. Let's forget the scratch. Just be with the friends. Have a nice day with the friends. Change the way we think. The pizza wasn't ready because the pizza place burnt down. I don't mind. I like pasta anyway. It's fine. I have to keep looking at what I'm thinking and keep changing the way I think. Every time a situation comes, how am I thinking? Look at the way I'm thinking. Change the way I'm thinking. The last lamington's gone. It doesn't matter. We'll just make some more. It's fine. It doesn't matter. At least my friends all had a lovely lamington. Every time we see a situation coming, or we're in a situation, or we've got something, we're going to a meeting, for instance, and there's people there that we don't get on so well with. If I go into that meeting with the attitude that I'm going to be the best person I possibly can, don't worry about the other people. I've just got to keep changing the way I think. Because the way I think affects how I feel. And the way I feel is what it's all about. We want to be happy in life. So we need to keep changing the way we think. And this is an ongoing, persistent process. A mind full of positive thoughts actually thinks a bit slower. And you might think, oh, look, I'm in a hectic job. I don't want to think more slowly. But the slower your mind works, the more carefully the intellect can make decisions. Because if the mind's racing all over the place, the intellect is confused with all the thoughts that are going on. And it's the intellect that makes the decisions. So if the mind is slowing, the intellect can make more accurate and quicker decisions. So it's really important to look at the way we're thinking. And so I think one of the first parts of this process is in any situation, if you start to have negative stuff coming up, first thing you need to do is put a full stop. And now in written text, or when you type things on the screen, the full stop is normally a black dot. Here, we would prefer to use a point of white light as the full stop. So you know, our thoughts are a really subtle thing. And the reason the thoughts are a subtle thing is because the soul is a subtle thing. I'm a soul. See myself as a soul. Because we're so caught up in the physical, that we are distracted from the subtle. But the physical is just the playground for us souls to perform actions. And so the first thing to do in any situation, when anything happens that may upset you, put a full stop. See I the soul. The second thing you might do is actually try and see the benefit that you might get out of a situation. And on the link and the email that's you're sent with the link, there's actually an attachment with a list of virtues. And I've just got a suggestion that maybe while you're in lockdown and you're wandering around the lounge room wondering what to do, pick that piece of paper or go through that virtues list and pick out just one virtue, just anyone that takes your fancy. And try and think of an example of when you've used that virtue before in the past. It might have been only once. And so through the day, make the effort of trying to understand what that virtue really means to you, what it means to you, and then try and use it in all your activities throughout the day. So it's just a means of changing the way you think, because really what this is all about is actually changing something. We're constantly bombarded with thoughts of and words of negativity around us, in the media, TV, paper, the people we work with. And so we actually have to be really proactive in looking at how that's impacting on me and changing it. Because it's those 200,000 billion negative and wasteful thoughts that are creating the mess that's in the world today. We've got to change it. And the one that's going to change, the person that's going to change it the most easily is myself. Because I'm not going to change 200 billion thoughts in other people. It's really me that I have to change my thoughts. So we want to get into this practice of finding something positive to do out of the day. So have a go today at picking a virtue out of the paper. The list. I'm not used to looking at screens, but out of the list. Think of a time you've used it, and that verifies that you've actually got that quality. Go to the depth of what it really means, that quality, and try and practice it during the day. The next thing that really helps is, we can do this stuff at a physical level, but sometimes we just have to go a bit beyond what's going on in the physical world, and we actually need to gain some power to handle what's going on around us. And spiritual power really means to be able to control what's going on in here, but control the way I feel in any situation. And to get that control back, we need a bit of support. And so our meditation is actually about connecting with the supreme source of power and taking it in. And you can do this, a minute every hour, 10 minutes in the morning, whatever is easy. It's actually about making your day feel better by getting as much meditation in as possible. So I, the soul, the point of eternal light, see the supreme soul, the point of eternal light, the source of all power and love and peace, and just absorb it. Just take a break from the stuff you're doing and just absorb it for 10 minutes. Every now and again, a minute every now and again. So this is the real vaccine for dealing with this really significant problem that's occurring in the world. There's all sorts of stuff going on. There's fighting and viruses and disharmony all over the place, but the real illness is what's going on in here. And this is the place that I can change it, because the mind is mine to use, and we've historically allowed our mind to tell us what to do. It's the other way around. It's my mind, so I want to use it the way I want to use it rather than letting it decide. So these practices, see the soul, contemplate the virtues and how I've used them and how I can use them, connect with the Supreme Soul. The more you do that, the more you'll get spiritual power back to then actually change the way you feel. Because this life really should be about being happy. So, should we just do a little meditation to finish off? And I'll do a little commentary. So just see yourself as a soul. Point of light. The eternal being. It's beyond this physical world. Because this physical world is just a temporary thing. Just have a thought. What is the quality that I really need to develop today? I roughly know what the day is going to be like. What's the quality that will help me get through the day? And just think about that for a second. And take yourself straight to the Supreme Soul. See that soul right in front of you now. Just absorb that quality from that soul. Because that's his role. Just to give you what you need. This is the time to make yourself feel good. Despite what's going on around you, it's up to you how you feel. You've got someone there to help you, and that's the Supreme Soul. Just take in the light. sorry, sir, that dog snuck in again. Could you please? Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Greg. That was very enlightening, and we don't want to be part of that 200,000 billion negative thoughts, do we? So let's increase the positive. And you feel light. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Sally.